The Dodgers swept the Marlins and swept the homestand, but that wasn't the biggest news of the day. We got a new update on the Ippei Mizuhara case. Let's talk about it. Let's get locked on Dodgers.
You are Locked On Dodgers, your daily Los Angeles Dodgers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yo, Dodger fans. Welcome to Locked On Dodgers. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 local sports daily podcast network. Locked On, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Monopoly Go. This fast-paced game lets you team up with friends for tournaments to unlock awesome prizes like unique stickers for trading, cool playing pieces, and hilarious emojis for taunting your friends. So download Monopoly Go now, free on Google Play or the App Store. Game on. This is the daily podcast covering the Los Angeles Dodgers, bringing you the smart fans' perspective on our boys in blue. You can find us wherever you find podcasts and on YouTube simply by searching for Locked On Dodgers. And you can subscribe and make it easier on yourself by becoming an everydayer and getting notified when our episodes are ready for you, or getting notified when we're going live like we are tonight once again. If this is your first time listening, watching, welcome. My name is Vince Samperio, joined by my co-host Jeff Snyder. Jeff and I are both lifelong Dodger fans that have spent time covering the team. We've been doing this podcast here for a while now. We've been covering the team for longer than that, and we've been Dodger fans for even longer than that. So we're here to bring you what we believe is a smart fan's perspective on the Dodgers, and hopefully, bringing your Dodger knowledge up and our Dodger knowledge up in the process as well. With all that being said, Jeff, the Dodgers once again won. They swept the Marlins. They swept the homestand. They've now won 7 in a row, 14 of their last 16. And I can definitely say with confidence that it's a lot better talking about the Dodgers now than it was a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, it's always more fun to talk about a winning team, and the Dodgers are 14-2 in their last 16 games. The Dodgers were only one game over 500 a few weeks ago. They are now back at the pace where they have twice as many wins as losses, which means they're on pace to win 108 games, which would be pretty good and kind of what we've come to expect from this team. I don't think they will keep winning 14 out of every 16 games the rest of the year, but I do think they will win about twice as many as they lose, and that's all we can hope for, and then get to October healthy. The crazy thing was there was a day game, and yet wasn't even the biggest news of the day, wasn't even the biggest news of the hour and 55 minutes of the game time, because during that game time, we got news that Ippei Mizuhara is pleading guilty. And we had heard that he was going to plead guilty, but it's now official. It was announced that he has reached a plea agreement with the Justice Department, or whoever it is. I don't know. I'm not an attorney, with whoever's prosecuting him. And he will plead guilty. And there is some interesting stuff in here, Vince. The articles that I've read, we will get more information as things trickle out, but a couple interesting points about this. One was that he will almost surely be deported back to Japan, because something I didn't realize was that Ippei is not a U.S. citizen. I knew he was born in Japan, but I knew he had lived in the United States for a long time. Didn't realize that he wasn't a U.S. citizen. And so just the nature of the law, when you are convicted of a felony such as this, you're almost always deported back to your home country. And so Ippei will probably be sent back to Japan, which is interesting. Also, the plea agreement includes him paying restitution to both the IRS of close to $2 million, because one of the things he's pleading guilty to is a false tax return. Basically, when you're stealing money from your boss / friend, you hide it from the IRS too. So he owes a couple $1 million to the IRS, and he owes almost $17 million to Shohei Ohtani. If they want to get really punitive, they could make him pay it back with interest too. I don't see how any way that Ippei is going to pay back any of that money. If you or I were told tomorrow you owe $19 million to various people, we would say, okay, you take Monopoly money. Even that would be, have to buy a lot of sets of Monopoly to get. Bets. Yeah. Yeah. Can somebody loan me some money? I got a hunch on some Australian soccer team. So those were kind of interesting notes, I thought, but yeah, it seems unlikely that he'll actually be able to pay that money back.
Yeah, we've gotten a couple updates over the last couple weeks, but nothing big enough to talk about until today. But this is going to be either a great documentary or a great uh drama in the next, however 10, 15 years, whatever it is. Because we're learning about new characters that are in it now, and we learned that Ippei was sending money to one of the guys, and those guys were getting it sent to the casino, and they were basically taking the money out and betting, and if they won they kept it, and if they didn't, oh well. They got banned from the couple casinos in Vegas. Now there's a Real Housewives of Orange County reality star involved in it as the guy that eBay was sending the money to. So, if after Ohtani was exonerated from everything and you kind of just sit back and look at this on its head, it's like, wow, this is a drama that people can't really script.
Yeah, it is crazy. It's crazy how it's all happened, and it's obviously a bummer. I heard through one of our commenters that yesterday during the Locked On Angels show, our buddies, the Frisch brothers over there, that one of their commenters said if Ohtani still played for the Angels, he would be suspended and MLB would be looking to ban him from baseball. And I want to address that. Like, obviously, the person who said that's an idiot, but I want to explain exactly why. A couple reasons why. First of all, I think Trevor Bauer and Julio Urias are kind of proof that Major League Baseball doesn't spare the Dodgers when it comes to suspending big stars, or at least stopping them from playing while investigations are playing out. But also, that also makes the other point, which is that off the roster immediately, because there is specifically a policy that allows for that. When it comes to illegal gambling, this commenter believes that Ohtani was gambling on baseball, which there's zero evidence for, as opposed to the zero evidence of anything else. But there's no rule in place that they could stop Ohtani. Even if they thought Ohtani was guilty of something, they couldn't stop him from playing while he was being investigated because the rules don't allow for that. When somebody tests positive for steroids, they're allowed to keep playing while their appeal is being heard. Even when they've already been proven to have broken the rules, they keep playing until their appeals have been heard. That's the way everything except domestic violence, sexual assault, and child abuse works, because there's a specific policy for those three things. Everything else, gambling, steroids, all that stuff, doesn't allow a guy to be placed on administrative leave or suspended or anything until the investigation is complete. Throw in the fact that we have 37 pages of evidence showing that Ippei stole the money. Plus, we now have Ippei telling the government, yes, I stole the money and I would like to go to prison for 9 years now. You got to be pretty committed to stupidity to think that Ohtani did anything here.
Yeah, I was going to say MLB wouldn't care where Ohtani was. If they could, in theory, save him, they would. But betting on baseball, if that's what they thought, then that makes a little bit more sense, I suppose. But yeah, I mean, all in all, every time something new comes up from this, the worst part is that all the people that believe this is a cover-up and Ippei's the fall guy and everything else that comes from this is what comes up. Or not what comes up, but is kind of what you see, and it's probably gonna happen, for the rest of Ohtani's career. But as long as once this, they asked Dave Roberts about it after the game, and he hadn't even heard the news. The news was broken to him, and he said no comment, but he said basically, another step away from this, moving forward, getting past it is ideal. Obviously, it hasn't slowed Ohtani down, hasn't slowed the Dodgers down, and realistically, after the sentencing, unless some more details come out, I don't think it'll be a story anymore.
Yeah, this seems like the last chapter, at least as far as Locked On Dodgers is concerned, because this really does close the book. I mean, I guess once we get the official word on how long he's going to prison for, we'll probably talk about it one more time, and then we're done. And it's no longer a Dodgers story. It's not even really an Ohtani story anymore at that point. It's just some guy who stole money from a guy who happens to play for the Dodgers. So, but that's good news. Good to get this closure and get it over with and move on.
Yeah. And like you mentioned, hour 55 for the Dodger game. They did end up winning. A big chunk of that reason is thanks to Teoscar Hernandez, who drove in all 3 runs that were scored, 1 via an RBI single, 2 via a 2-run homer. We're going to talk about him and how he's been for the Dodgers this year, so make sure to keep it locked on Dodgers. Today's episode is brought to you by DoorDash. DoorDash is here and it can help you this weekend make your mom smile because you can start Mother's Day with flowers or surprise her with gifts from the brand she loves delivered the very same day with DoorDash. Now, I am one that lives close to my mother, but if I wanted to surprise, but I don't live with her. So if I wanted to surprise her before I get to see her, I could do that with DoorDash because I can get gifts as thoughtful as she is and select from hundreds of expertly crafted bouquets to the best of the tech world to self-care essentials and more delivered right to her door. It's never too late to show your mom love this Mother's Day with DoorDash. Pair those flowers with the gift card so she can celebrate any way she wants and shop with savings that would make her proud with the Dash Pass membership. You'll save with the $0 delivery fee and reduced service fees on eligible orders from Dash Pass merchants that meet the minimum subtotal. Other fees, including service fee, apply. Terms also apply. Right now, order and get everything you need for Mother's Day on DoorDash. Use code LOCKEDONMLB and you can get 50% off your next order, up to $15 when you spend $15 or more on your next flower, convenience, grocery, or retail order now on DoorDash. That's promo code LOCKEDONMLB for 50% off your next order. Order using DoorDash today. Terms apply. Today's episode is also brought to you by Monopoly Go. Monopoly Go, we've talked about it. And if you're not in the Monopoly Go world, I suggest you go get into the Monopoly Go world now because there's just so much good stuff in this game. And it's fun to play with friends because in Monopoly Go, you can team up with your friends for time tournaments where you work together to build up each other's boards. The more you win together, the more awesome prizes you unlock. And there's so much to get. You get unique stickers that you can trade with your friends to complete albums for big prizes. You get the cool new playing pieces to travel the boards with. You can get hilarious emojis to taunt your friends when you smash their buildings or heist their vaults. And plus, Monopoly Go feels new and exciting every day with constantly changing tournaments and challenges. They got a robot pachinko machine. They got mini games like digging for treasure. And there's always new timed events to help you win big, massive multipliers for everything and or rent frenzy. So there's always something fun to discover in Monopoly Go. So go right now to the Google Play or App Store and download it free. That's Monopoly Go. Download it free on the Google Play or App Store. Game on. I want to thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen of the day. Make sure to find us wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. Remember, you can always go to YouTube as well for Locked On Sports Today and Locked On Sports Los Angeles, 2 24/7 streaming channels from the Locked On Podcast Network, bringing you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news on YouTube 24/7 or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Remember, you can go be on the podcast and become a Locked On Dodgers insider and get text directly from us with news, thoughts, reactions, everything else you can think of in the Dodger world. We have it there for you. That's joinsubtext.com/LockedOnDodgers. All right, Jeff. So the Dodgers won, and it was the fastest Dodger game since 2006, I believe. One of the fastest games since in the new pitch clock era. And, we talked about in the past the best way to win a series. And it's usually when, that's more when it's 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 4. Sweeps are always the best way to win a series. But I think sweeps where the final game is under 2 hours might take the cake for the best way to win a series.
Yeah, although the shorter games are maybe a little more fun when it's a night game. So we're trying to get the podcast recorded and then go to bed. And obviously that's podcaster problems or whatever. A day game, it's like, I'm kind of like, well, I got nothing to do for the next 4 hours. Let's go to extra innings, but yeah, it's those crisp games that just move along are fun. And this was kind of fun to have this kind of game where it wasn't a blowout. There was a little bit of drama and suspense. And the Dodgers won basically because of excellent pitching and key clutch hitting. And those are two of the best things in baseball. And so while I always love a good 12-1 shellacking, a 3-1 game where it's 1-1 into the bottom of the sixth when the Dodgers scored the other 2 runs, that was a lot of fun. I wouldn't want those games all the time, but I like them once in a while.
Yeah, when they mentioned on the broadcast, Teoscar Hernandez now leads the Dodgers in RBI. He drove in 3. Him and Freddie Freeman were basically the offense for the Dodgers. And, if you want to quibble with something, the Dodger offense is something you quibble with. But they got the job done, and that's what matters. And Teoscar Hernandez has been getting the job done. And, you look at his overall season stats, and he's hitting 265 with an 843 OPS, 10 homers, 29 RBIs, 26 runs scored, pretty solid. And then you look at his last 7 games, and he hit 320 with an OPS over 1,000, 4 homers, and 7 RBIs in those. And I think the biggest thing is just 5 strikeouts and 25 at-bats in those last 7 games. And, Teoscar is a guy that strikes out a lot, and, him and Muncy were up there for not counting Chris Taylor, up there for the team lead in strikeout rate. But he's been able to cut that recently. He's been able to have more success at the plate. And while I don't think it's something that's going to, I don't think he's going to hit 300 on the season, but it's good to see that he's having great approach at the plate.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We've talked before about Teoscar. My only concern about him is the strikeouts, and specifically strikeouts against right-handers. He chases. I compared him to AJ Pollock and Yasiel Puig a little bit, where he sometimes has trouble laying off that slider that's a foot off the plate or 6 inches off the plate. And that's something that we've seen some major improvement in recently. And obviously today's homer and our RBI single both came off a left-handed pitcher, which is his strength, but he also had, a home run off, who was it? Charlie Morton in the Braves series. And that was a good case of Morton made a mistake and Teoscar punished it. And Teoscar, whether it's righties or lefties, he can punish a mistake for sure. And the key against righties is making the pitcher make the mistake by not swinging at the pitcher's pitches, because both of his hits today came with 3 balls on him. And so the pitcher the first time pitcher kind of felt like he had to come to him. The second time they were trying to pitch around him. It was just, not David Weathers. What's his name? Ryan Weathers?
Ryan Weathers.
David Weathers was his dad. But Ryan Weathers just, he was trying to pitch around him and just made a bad pitch. But that's, we could probably do a whole segment on the folly of trying to pitch around a guy instead of just intentionally walking him. But that's a different topic, but he did a great job of staying in the zone because, he went up there knowing they just had a mound visit. I know exactly what they're saying. They're saying, don't give him anything too good to hit. And so he knew every pitch was going to be on the edges. And so he did a good job laying off the balls. And then when he got one over the plate, he punished it and did his job. And so if he can do that, like he's obviously, nobody's a perfect baseball player, but his only real weakness is the swing and miss. And so if he makes the pitchers give him pitches to hit, he's going to be a very big offensive force for this team.
Yeah, and he has been exactly what, you can ask for in terms of the power and everything else. And this is why we advocated for bringing him in before the Dodgers signed him, and why we were so excited when the Dodgers signed him, because he makes the lineup longer. When you can go Mookie, Ohtani, Freddie, Will Smith, Muncy, Teoscar, like that's 6 guys that are going to give you a chance at the plate every single time. And that we would have hoped that the bottom of the order could do that. And they're starting to pick it up here and there. Andy Paz has been a guy, and, some other guys are hopefully picking it up from there moving on. But if you're going to get, 30 homers out of your number 6 hitter, like that's something the Dodgers will take for sure. And something that, he brings to the table. And, last year he had a down year with the Mariners, and it seemed to be more of a, well, now it's T-Mobile Park, used to be Safeco, issue more than anything. It just didn't quite work out for him. And it's working out for him and for the Dodgers right now. And yeah, he's fun to watch in terms of hitting. He's fun to watch in terms of that big smile, the energy. I think he's the one that's brought out the original sunflower seed celebration on homers, and now that everybody's getting sunflower seeds thrown at them when they hit the homer. Waste perfectly good sunflower seeds, but hey, you know what? If you're gonna be happy in the Dodgers hitting homers, you can waste sunflower seeds. It's cool.
Yeah, I guess the other way to waste sunflower seeds is by eating them. I'm not a fan of sunflower seeds, but I like the taste of them. When I was in Little League, I would just pop a handful of sunflower seeds in my mouth and just suck the salt off and then spit the seeds out whole. Never even crack them open. But we all do our own things.
You don't like peanuts. You don't like sunflower seeds. Something happened to you in your childhood.
I like Cracker Jacks. That's what one case where I'll eat peanuts, although I definitely like the caramel corn part of Cracker Jacks more. But yeah, I just, I don't know what it is. I think it's stuff stuck in my teeth. I think that boils down to it. So, do you think, I just popped up this comment from our buddy Thomas, saying he'd like to see Teoscar be re-signed. You think the Dodgers explore an extension with Teoscar, or you think it's kind of a JD Martinez thing where come in for a year and then, make him a qualifying offer and just see what happens in free agency?
I mean, I would love to keep him around for a couple more years, and I'm sure he would like that, but it also comes down to the money and everything else. And JD Martinez, it didn't quite work out for him in terms of getting a bigger deal after the fact, but he's also a lot older. With Teoscar, it's one of those where, like, if you're, to me, and this is as a biased Dodger fan, like, if you're having a great time being a Dodger and you're also hitting, maybe better than you ever have in your career, and all that other stuff happens, if the Dodgers come with a decent amount of money, I would say let's sign it.
Yeah, and he's definitely not a guy who has been counting down the days to free agency like a Juan Soto type. He might be open to an extension. So I guess we'll see if that, let him keep this up for another month or so, and then they probably do start at least thinking about that.
Yeah. The other big player on Wednesday was Gavin Stone, who once again went deep into a game and pitched very well. And that's now 4 starts in a row for Gavin Stone where he's pitched very well. And he's just adding on to what we've talked about starting pitching, helping out this bullpen that's a little depleted right now. And we're going to talk about just pitching in general for the Dodgers because it's been really, really, really good on this 14-16 stretch. So make sure to keep it locked on Dodgers. Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. Baseball season is here. It's been about a month now, so you might have a good idea of how players are going to play. And PrizePicks is here to help you capitalize on that knowledge because whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, or first inning runs, take your pick of more or less and add them to your PrizePicks entry today. PrizePicks is easy. All you got to do is pick at least 2 players and at least 2 stats. You pick more or less on those 2 stats, and boom, you can start your PrizePicks. The best daily fantasy sports app out there. You can even do it in 30. You can do it in more than 30 states across the country, including Texas, California, Texas, and Georgia. So go check out PrizePicks right now, and don't worry about it. They even offer injury insurance. Hopefully you're not picking a Dodger that gets injured, but if you have an injury in one of your picks and they don't register more than 2 plate appearances, then it doesn't count for you, and you can just go back to your day. So go check out PrizePicks right now. They got weekly promotions and special offers for the biggest moments in sports. Download the app and use code LOCKEDONMLB in all lowercase for a first deposit match up to $100. That's the PrizePicks app. Download it. Use the code LOCKEDONMLB in all lowercase and get a first deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks, pick more, pick less. It's that easy. I want to thank you for being an everydayer. If you are one, an everydayer is just someone that listens or watches every day. If you're not an everydayer, you can become one very easily by listening or watching every day. We're doing more live shows now, but if you can't catch the live show, you can always catch us where we get podcasts and on YouTube at any point, a time the next day. The Dodgers don't play on Thursday, so you have a lot of time to check it out, and maybe go check out past episodes if you want to listen to other stuff. So, and remember, you can go beyond the podcast and go to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnDodgers and get part of our texting group that gets news, announcements, thoughts, reactions, stuff from the field, different things that come up as the season goes on. So make sure to go check that out. And Jeff, let's talk about Gavin Stone. You were very high on Gavin Stone and were one of the conductors of the Gavin Stone, train. And not that I wasn't, but you were more so than I was. And right now, it's looking pretty good.
Yeah, he was. What we're seeing so far is the pitcher that I envisioned when I thought about Gavin Stone being awesome. His changeup is filthy, and he has the fastball and the slider to complement that. And so, a changeup enough. And Oral talked about this during the broadcast today. A changeup alone isn't enough to be a successful starting pitcher in the big leagues. You can't just do it with a fastball and a changeup because Oral's point was that in the minor leagues, a lot of times you can get righties and lefties out with your one-off speed pitch, whether it's a changeup or a slider or a curveball or whatever. But once you get to the big leagues, usually that one-off speed pitch is going to be more effective against one side than the other, and you need that third pitch to counteract that. And that's what we've seen here. Stone's changeup is death on lefties, but it wasn't effective against righties as much. Partly because pitchers don't like throwing changeups to same-handed batters as much. and also just because it was the only off-speed pitch. And so the slider that this Stone has really made more effective over the last 8 months, started the end of last season, that has made him truly a complete pitcher. And now he has 3 really good pitches. I mean, the fastball gets up there around 96 miles an hour sometimes. We saw him freeze one guy with the strikeout looking on a full count. Just he had convinced himself, I'm getting a changeup here. And so a fastball at the bottom of the zone, the batter assumed it was going to be a changeup below the zone. Instead, it's a fastball, right at the bottom of the zone, easy strikeout. That having those 3 pitches where it's enough to keep them guessing has really been huge for Stone. And it's been, we're seeing the results. Like you said, his last 4 starts have been awesome. His overall season looks.
I messed up. It was 3 starts.
Last 3 starts.
Yeah.
But he's been outstanding lately. And realistically, I mean, he is a legit, not just a good 5th starter or whatever you want to call him, but he's legit a good major league pitcher now.
Yeah, last 3 starts, 20 innings pitched total, just 3 runs allowed, just 3 walks allowed. Not picking up the strikeouts, but he's going deep in the game, like 7 innings, 6 innings, 7 innings. I'll take that and over strikeouts any day. And all those outings were 94 pitches or less. So, he's being efficient with his time, and he's getting, guys swing early. That game in Chicago kind of messed with the season ERA a little bit, especially after some of those errors got changed to hits. But he's sitting at 355 right now, but definitely on the rise, or I guess not on the rise the number wise, but on the rise the way he's pitching. So yeah, and it just we talked about this the other day. If Bobby Miller makes it back and everyone else is healthy, then Stone would be probably an odd man out. But the way he's pitching right now, he's not going to make himself an odd man out. And for the Dodgers right now, with the bullpen the way it's been, they got 8 innings from Yamamoto, they got 7 innings from Stone. They've only used 3 relievers the last 2 days, and only one of their, maybe Michael Grove is now in the upper tier relievers at the moment, but Daniel Hudson is one of the only top tier guys that they've used, and then Grove and Fireeisen on the other side. Now they have a day off, and they go into San Diego with a full and healthy, strong and rested bullpen.
Yeah, and in these 16 games, when they've gone 14-2, they haven't allowed more than 4 runs in any of those games. They've only allowed 4 runs in 2 of those games. It's been less than that the other 14 games. And I saw this tweet from Eric Steven, who said during this 16-game stretch, the top 6 pitchers by innings have accounted for just over 2/3 of the innings, and their ERAs. Tyler Glasnow, 21 innings pitched, 1.29 ERA during this 16-game stretch. Yamamoto, 20 innings pitched, 0.9 ERA. Stone, 20 innings, 1.35 ERA. Paxton, 16 and a third innings, 3.31 ERA. Landon Knack, 11 innings, 2.45 ERA. And Ryan Yarbrough, 9 innings, 0.0 ERA. We had people yesterday saying in our comments on YouTube saying nobody's talking about Ryan Yarbrough enough, and that might be true. And we'll probably have to wait till he actually pitches again to talk about him again. But what he's providing length in the bullpen, and not just length, but actual quality. His numbers last year, his overall numbers were a little deceiving because he got beat up bad in his last start, and so his overall ERA with the Dodgers looked kind of ugly. But he was actually really good before that, and we've seen that again this year, kind of filling that role that nobody else can fill right now, and doing a really good job of it. But really, everybody on the team, every pitcher is doing well, and I think it underscores what we've talked about a couple times about how good starting pitching can make the bullpen better. We saw it last year with the Dodgers, going from one of the worst bullpens in baseball to one of the best, just simply mostly because their starters started pitching more innings, so the bullpen wasn't as overworked. And we're seeing the same exact dynamic so far this year.
Yeah, it's interesting. Last year, Yarbrough, he got unfairly treated when the Dodgers traded for him at the deadline because Dodger fans wanted more. And, he wasn't a big splash, and he pitched well for the Dodgers, like said, up until that last start. And then now this year he's filled, we talked about how he might not make the opening day roster, but he ended up making that opening day roster, and has been a guy for the Dodgers. The other day he did go a week in between pitching, so maybe that's another reason why I didn't talk about him, because there was a week in between when he pitched. But yeah, he's been great for the Dodgers. Dodgers pitching has been great, and it's we talked about all facets coming together, the offense helping out the starting pitching helping out the relievers helping out, the offense, and all that kind of comes forward. Right now, that's what we're seeing. And obviously it's being led by the starting pitching and the offense, and the bullpen's just, reaping the rewards right now. But at some point it'll probably flip the other way, and they might need to rely on the bullpen and the starting pitching instead of the offense, or whatever the case is. But the good thing is that the Dodgers are good in all three assets or facets. And it's showing right now with 14 out of 16. That's not a fluke. No matter who you're playing, winning 14 out of 16 is not easy.
Yeah. And they have a day off on Thursday, and then they start a 6-game road trip. But it's not very far. They just go to San Diego for the first 3 and then San Francisco for 3. So staying in the division, staying in the Pacific time zone, which is, not nice for, for our habits of when we watch Dodger games at night. So a little bit earlier, I think the Padres and Giants both start their home games a little bit earlier than the 7:10 the Dodgers do, but it should be a fun next 6 games and kind of a good litmus test to see where the Dodgers are at, because they struggled with the Padres a little bit last time they played them. I think the Padres have won 3 out of 5 that they've played so far. So hopefully Dodgers can keep this sweep streak going, sweep the Padres, sweep the Giants, and just start the process of running away with the division like we expect them to.
And just never lose again. How about that?
I'm on board. Yeah. That would be a record.
Yeah. All right, Jeff. Yeah, you got anything else?
No. I think we'll have a fun off day episode tomorrow, probably a mailbag, and we'll see if we go live for that one. But it's been fun so far. So.
Yeah, definitely. Appreciate you guys that are on the live right now. Like Jeff mentioned, I was at a Will Smith charity event, comedy show. Will Smith, it was an opening joke, and it was his only joke. He said, let's hope this goes better than the last time Will Smith walked across the stage in Los Angeles. It landed. The comedians were funny. There was different things going on. They auctioned a Shohei Ohtani signed jersey went for auction for $9,000. So,
wow.
Yeah. So it was very interesting. So
paid for with Shohei Ohtani's own credit card.
Yeah.
The buyer was Ippei Mizuhara.
Yeah. All right. That's going to do it for today's episode. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen of the day. Make sure to find us wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. All you got to do is search for Locked On Dodgers. You can subscribe and get notified when episodes are ready, or get notified when we're going live. You can go beyond the podcast and become a Locked On Dodgers insider at joinsubtext.com/Locked On Dodgers and get text directly from us for a variety of reasons. You can also stay on YouTube after you subscribe and go to Locked On Sports Today and Locked On Sports Los Angeles, 2 24/7 streaming channels from the Locked On Podcast Network. On Locked On Sports Los Angeles, you can see Pete Fox sometimes doing the Locked On Dodgers postcast after most Dodger games. I think he did it for this entire series, 2 of them. He did crossovers with the Locked On Marlins postcast guy, so go check that out. It's on our audio feed if you need something else to listen to. I saw someone mention that their mornings are boring. You can check out Pete and see how you feel about it. You can also find us on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Locked On Dodgers. Jeff's on Twitter at Snydog. I'm at Vincent91. You can DM us on any of those accounts to get a hold of us. You can also get a hold of us via email, lockedondodgers@gmail.com, or via voicemail text at 323-863-5625. We're here every weekday morning, and we hope you'll be here with us when you're in your car, if you're at home. Here's my Device Play podcast, Locked On Dodgers. And remember, you don't have to agree. You just have to listen. Have a good one.
We'll talk to you tomorrow.